Hey there, health coaches. As you know, I record these podcasts live every single week while broadcasting to my free Facebook group. And as of this recording right now, we have about 8,000 coaches, oh my God, inside our group. So, have you ever considered starting your own Facebook group for your business? I've been getting so many questions about this, so today I'm going to tell you everything I know about starting a group. I have started so many through the years. I'm going to tell you if you should start a group in the first place, and if so, how to go about it for maximum effect. Now, first, a few things. Since you are listening to this episode, I am pretty confident that you're interested in using Facebook to grow your business. Yes? And yet, what I see are health coaches making so many mistakes in how they show up on social media, including Facebook, but all the different platforms. So I want you to just stop right there before you do anything else. I want you to download my free guide. It's called 9 Key Facebook Elements for Your Health Coaching Business, and just make sure you have the basics down pat. You may be surprised at some of the little but important errors that you could be making. You can get this free resource at healthcoachpower.com/Facebook. In fact, go ahead, download that sucker right now so you have it. And while you do, I want to give a big old virtual hug to a listener called 911 Coach on iTunes who wrote this 5-star review. First of all, she says, I would like to just thank Michelle for all of her amazing free content. Michelle truly cares about you and your health coach practice. As a fellow IIN grad, class of 2017, it made hearing what she has to say and what she offers other health coaches as legitimate and genuine. A real from the heart woman. Thank you again. I really enjoy your podcast. Hey, 911 Coach, your review just made my day. You're right. I am also a graduate from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, although I was way back in 2009. But thank you so much for the review, and please send your mailing address to support@healthcoachpower.com and just mention episode number 78 so we can send a little gift your way. Cool? All right. Are you guys ready to talk about Facebook groups? Yes, some of you are here live with me. That is so exciting. Please tell me what you want to know in the comments as we go along. And let's dive in with the reaction that Tracy had when she saw today's topic. Tracy is one of our group members, and when I said I was going to be talking about Facebook groups today, she said, oh my gosh, Facebook groups, are you a mind reader? Which is so funny, but seriously, yes. I am somewhat literally a mind reader, meaning I get to read your mind. I hope that doesn't sound too creepy, but I do kind of get this peek into your head every time you guys post into the Facebook group, right? And I am paying attention. That's how I choose these topics every week, and I know that they're going to be topics that you're dying to hear about. So right off the bat, I want you to take note of this. One really important reason that you might run a Facebook group, it really goes beyond just like building community for the sake of building community. A business reason to start running a Facebook group is so that you can be getting these types of insights from your audience. And then, if you're smart, use those insights to infuse your marketing materials so that your people are saying, oh my God, it's like you're reading my mind. This is market research at its best, okay? It's one of my favorite benefits of having such a large and engaged group. It's why it's worth the time, so many hours of time, you guys. It's worth the effort, it's worth the money, it's worth everything to run this group because it really truly does feed my business. And I want you to be able to build something that feeds yours as well. So thank you for the enthusiasm, Tracy. I hope you're here, and I'm glad that everyone is joining me for this episode. Let's hit this question next because I think this is like the most important one for many of you. Do you need a Facebook group? I often hear members of our group talk about a Facebook group like it's a given, like you have to have one. And I did just share a really big benefit of having a Facebook group, but I need to start off by saying that no way, you definitely do not need to have one. Let me underline that several times. You definitely do not need to have a Facebook group. You definitely don't need to have two. You certainly don't need to have three. And you can run a successful health coaching practice without any Facebook groups. So that might be a huge relief to some of you who are just like, oh, I really didn't want to do this in the first place. And if you are someone who maybe you don't have a super clear picture of the group that you want to start and why, I'm going to say right now, hold off. And as we move through this episode, you'll get a sense of why I'm saying that. In general, I see health coaches very often putting the cart before the horse. And if you're not careful and you start a Facebook group on a whim, that can definitely fall into that category. If you ever just go on Facebook, you ever just go to groups and search health, wellness, women's health, even more specific topics, diabetes, weight loss, whatever. There are about a bajillion Facebook groups on all of these topics. It is really stinking saturated. So you need to go into it, if you go into it, with a very clear goal and a very clear strategy. Otherwise, oh my God, you're going to waste so much time, so much effort. So here's a question that came from Emily. And when she asked this question, I was like, hold up, I'm so earmarking this for an episode, and I think that was a week or two ago. So here we are, Emily. And she said, I am brainstorming ideas for groups to start on Facebook. I have many ideas, but 3 that I really like. My question is it feasible to have several groups, or is it better to focus my attention on just one group? Starting out, I plan to start with one, work on it, build it, but I am envisioning having several groups. Then in each group, I assume I should eventually offer wellness programs for people to sign up for. All right, Emily, thank you for this example. It's brilliant in the sense of exemplifying for everyone what I was just talking about the cart before the horse. I think, and I say this with love and understanding because I have so been there, but I think you might be going about this backwards, a little bit backwards. So what I want to suggest for you and for everybody is that you always start with the problem that you solve, one big specific problem that you can solve for a specific type of person. This is also known as your target market. And then once you're very, very clear on that, and that's not always easy to come up with, but once you're clear on that, then you can figure out what you're going to sell in order to help this person solve their problem. Okay? Good? All right. So that's a basic structure of a business model right there. Now you would be ready to start building an audience. Okay? And you probably, if you've done this right, you are only going to need one Facebook group for your marketing because it's going to be one group that serves one type of person and helps them solve one big problem. Say it with me. One person, one problem, okay? The reason I want to emphasize this is, well, gosh, there are so many reasons to emphasize this. I don't want you trying to reach 3 different groups or trying to sell 14 different products. You will get nowhere fast with that. Trust me, again, I have been there. I tested all this nonsense out for you over the past 10 years, and I can confidently tell you, you really want to focus in on just one group. But more specifically about Facebook groups, these things, you guys, they take a lot of work. I mean, any Joe Schmo can start a Facebook group. You could start one right now. But by the time this episode is over, you could have started a Facebook group. It's not hard to start it, but it's really hard to make it effective. We put in so much work to my Facebook groups. So if you have 3 of them going, geez Louise, you don't want to get yourself in that situation. So what I suggest is the one group, and the more niche, the better. The more targeted, the better. Don't start another weight loss for women Facebook group, right? There's just way too many of those out there. Nobody needs to join that. If she's somebody who likes Facebook groups and she wants to lose weight, she probably already belongs to 70 of those. Do something that is much more targeted and you're going to have so much more success. Now, what if you can't figure out who you serve and what one big problem you help them solve? If that's the case, first of all, don't worry. I offer a lot of support around this. We have podcast episodes about finding your target market. It's something I talk about a lot. But if that's where you're at today, then you are probably not ready to start a Facebook group. It's just going to not end up working out well for you. And if you're bouncing back and forth between like 3 or 4 different ideas, again, you're probably not ready. I have done that. I remember the day that I was like, I'm going to start 3 Facebook groups. Yeah, all like at the same time. Like in 1 week, I started 3 Facebook groups. I thought I was so smart. Here's what happens. You burn right out. You really do. You burn out trying to serve 3 different audiences because you're not really doing a great job with any of them if you're spread too thin. So better to pick one and then deliver like 1,000%. I have a few more things to say on this. So we talked about how Facebook groups are pretty saturated. There's a group for everything. There's 25,000 groups for everything. So yours should have, really think about this. You should have a goal. It should have a purpose that you are very clear about up front. And by goal and purpose, I don't mean like the goal is to create community, because that's nice, but I want you to think about it again from a business perspective. Why? Like, why bother creating a community? Just because it's like a nice thing for the community to have? I mean, that's fine if you don't want to make any money. But if you're doing this for your business, and I assume that you do want to earn a profit with your business, why bother creating this community? And what if you created just a community for the sake of community, and then people come together and all they do is complain about their health issues? You see groups like that all the time. It gets very, very negative in some of these groups. Just like raise your hand if you've ever been part of a group like that, where everybody just kind of pisses and moans, and it's like a very negative space to be in. You don't want that as a coach, right? This is your chance to start gently coaching your audience towards their biggest solution to their biggest health problem. Okay, so you definitely want to go into it with a clear goal for the group and not just say, hey, it's a free-for-all, we're all going to come together and, you know, talk about diabetes or something like that, because it will become a free-for-all. It's your job to coach everyone in a particular direction. So you want to design a group that does just that. It's made for a certain type of person. It helps them move towards a particular goal, and everything that you do within that group, well, that should be the emphasis behind it. How do I get these people a little bit closer to their goal? Just to give you some examples, real life examples, because I know you guys love to hear real life examples, right? My 2 most successful Facebook groups. Well, the first, hey, we're in it right now. The Health Coach Power Community is where I support certified health coaches in growing their businesses and earning a full-time salary. Specific type of people with a specific goal, right? Here's another example, and this was a real group as well. It's no longer active, but it's one that I ran for quite a while. It was called One Meal Mom, and this was a very big group at one point with tons of engagement, and the goal was to help moms of kids ages 1 to 10 make one meal for the whole family. Again, very specific type of person with a specific goal in mind. Now, of course, within that category, we talked about picky eaters, we talked about packing lunches, we talked about, you know, what are we having for dinner tonight, all kinds of things. But the point was, we're all here with this idea that we're sick of cooking multiple dinners for our families at night. And you really want to know your audience and kind of get in their head and design a group that's going to help them do something positive for themselves. All right, what other questions do we have today? There's one here from Ashley. This is a very good one. She said, everything seems to happen in Facebook groups. My question is, how many groups do you need if you run part of your business through Facebook groups? So for example, one for general support, maybe a separate group for paid clients, and then after paid clients finish with their program, do I shift them back to the other group or do I leave them in the paid group? And what if I want to run a challenge? Do I create a third group for the challenge and then move all those people to the general group after? So confused. Do I even need a Facebook page, or can all of this be done through groups? I know, it is confusing. So I'm going to answer the easiest part of that first, if you don't mind, Ashley. So yes, I think all health coaches who want an online presence should have a Facebook business page. It's kind of like having a business card. It's like your online business card, because people will go online, people will go on Facebook even specifically and search for you, and this is a public page where you can be found. If you don't have a page, or if your page is from like 2012, people are going to go, oh, is this a real business? So yes to the page, but I do not think that you have to worry too much about engagement and community and lots of posts on your business page, because in my opinion, it's better to save that for your groups. The algorithm with business pages just means that not a lot of people are going to see what you post. So yes, good to have something. No, don't make it your main purpose or your main time and energy suck when you're on Facebook. There's plenty else to do. We're going to get to that. But I do have a page for my business, and I post to it like maybe once a day or a couple times a week. Okay, so that's the business page. As for how many groups you need, oh, and I just thought I should count up how many groups I actually have. Oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. They all serve a different purpose though. Let's talk about the different kinds of groups that you might start. So in Emily's question earlier, we were talking specifically about a group that helps you market yourself. A free group open to whomever. And in order to do that, you would decide on a target market. You would create this space for your prospective clients, because that's what they are. And inside that group, you're going to treat them like gold. You're going to start proving yourself as an amazing resource in their life. If they find value in what you're throwing down in your group, then naturally they're going to be interested in taking the next step, in working with you on a deeper level, in participating in your events, whatever it is. And if you're smart, you'll be focusing on just that one target market, and therefore you're only going to need one marketing group. I'm going to call it a marketing group. This is where you are sort of bringing a new audience into your world. Okay, so that's one kind of group. But you also brought up this idea of a Facebook group for your paid clients, of course. So yeah, depending on your product, depending on your service, a Facebook group might make sense for them. Not always. Let's say that you work with private clients. You have private health coaching clients. They never meet each other. You're talking to them about, fairly sensitive personal topics, constipation, things like this. And these people have chosen to work with you privately after all. They may not really want or need a Facebook group. There may not be a reason for them to come together, and they might just kind of sit in that group and be silent while you're trying to get them talking, because they don't really want to talk to each other. They want to talk to you, and that's about it, right? So read your audience and only create a group if it makes sense for them. Now, of course, if you're doing something like a group program, everybody's doing a detox together, anything where a community is actually baked into the concept of your service, then you do have a reason to create a Facebook group. The idea is for them to come together as a community and for you to be able to support them all in one place, because it's a group program, right? So it's not like you're getting on the phone with each one of them. You need a venue in order to reach all of them at the same time. So then, yes, makes a lot of sense to start a group for that. It's kind of up to you how it works from there. Maybe they're going to be a member only while they're an active client, or while that online program that you're running or that group program that you're running is going on for however long it is. It's 90 days, it's 6 months, whatever it is. And then boom, after that, the group's going to be done. Or you can do it so that anyone who's in your group gets lifetime access to that group, and you add new members as you run that program over and over, but the old members just kind of stay in the group unless they want to leave. Frankly, I got to tell you, it's a lot of work to manually go in and one by one remove people from a Facebook group. That is a real pain in the neck. So I tend to stick to the rule of once a member, always a member, because it's just easier for me. There's nothing on my back end of my business that integrates with Facebook that, like, let's say somebody's program ends and then poof, they just automatically get deleted from my Facebook group. There's no way for that to happen. At least there's no way that I know of for that to happen. So it's a manual process. So once a member, always a member when you're a member of one of my groups. But again, it just kind of makes depends on what makes sense for what you're offering and what you want the experience to be like. Another nice part about keeping your members in your paid group is whenever you start a Facebook group, the first thing you're going to freak out about is like, oh my God, I don't have anybody in the group, because who wants to join a group that only has like 1 or 2 members? So if you can like get over that hurdle, you fill your Facebook group and now you have people in it, and then you can always add people to that group. It never feels lonely because you already have people who were there from before. Just a little tip. On the same note, whenever you start a Facebook group from scratch, it always helps to have some of your friends, family members, even like some of your peers, other health coaches join the group just to get some numbers in there. It's kind of like a dance floor. When the dance floor is empty, nobody wants to dance, right? You gotta get some people out there to make everybody else feel comfortable getting on the dance floor. And then lastly, Ashley brought up this idea of having a Facebook group for a free challenge. Now, has anybody done that before? I run free challenges a couple of times per year. And again, this is all about marketing. That's why we run the challenges, right? To build our email list, to maybe sell something at the end of the challenge. Let's say that you're doing like a free 5-day no sugar challenge. You see stuff like that all the time. And so what coaches will sometimes do is start a Facebook group. You can think of it as like a pop-up group. It pops up, it's there for the 5 days of the challenge, maybe for a week or so afterwards, just so people can play catch up, and then it disappears. That's fine. You can absolutely do it that way. But it's very hard to move people from one Facebook group to another. Once they're in there, they got what they came for. What are the chances that they're going to follow your directions and then go join like your more general Facebook group? Some people will, but I have found there's a lot of inertia with that kind of movement. It just doesn't happen. So migrating people over is tough. And for that reason, and for many reasons, I tend to run my challenges inside my existing marketing group. So my free Facebook group that's open to everyone, that's where I'll run my challenges, because first of all, then I don't have to worry about migrating people over to a different group. Once they join the challenge, boom, they are with me. The challenge is going to be going on within that group, which means even members who've not signed up for the challenge are going to be like, oh, hey, what's this thing going on? Oh, hey, this looks really popular. And so during the 5 days, more and more people will sign up, and you can always leave enrollment open during the 5 days of your challenge, or however long your challenge is. So the group may not have signed up for day 1, but by day 5, numbers have grown and grown. So it's a good way to boost the numbers of participants. And what I want to say about all of this is that it is, again, a lot of work, which leads me to this question from Karen. All right, Karen, I got you covered here. Karen says, I have a business page and 2 groups, one for my general following community and one for paid clients, past and current. My challenge is coming up with content for posts that don't feel redundant to those who follow all 3, and yet making sure everybody sees the info in case they are just following one of the 3. She says. So I get what you're saying, Karen. You've got people in all these different places. So then what do? Do you broadband all of them with the same message? That seems super redundant. Otherwise, you have, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. You're managing a couple different properties, and how do you do that effectively? So I think the challenge here is really keeping in mind the goal of each of your groups, or I'm going to say each of your Facebook properties, because your business page would also be one of those properties. So for instance, inside your general community, which is meant for marketing, the goal of that group, I'm guessing, I mean, certainly in my world, the goal of the group is to convert members of the group to your mailing list, right? Because they're just people from Facebook. Who knows how they ended up on your group, but once they're there, that's great. You need to get them on your mailing list as a next step towards selling something to them. So that means inside of a free group that is meant for marketing, you would want to post a lot of different freebies, downloads, give me an email address in exchange for whatever you're offering. You're going to want to host a lot of free events, again, in order to collect email addresses. If you had a blog, if you have a podcast, you would be sprinkling those blog posts and podcast episodes into your free group. Because this is your chance, right? These are people who are interested in what you're doing, and you want to bring them into your world as much as possible. Get the email address, get them subscribed to your podcast. This is like the place where you're really cultivating a relationship with each and every one of them. And then, of course, you would want to be making offers to these folks, trying to convert them into paying clients, right? So this is sort of top of the funnel stuff where you have people who are in your world and you're trying to move them down the funnel closer and closer to actually paying you. So the content you post there should reflect that goal. Now, inside your paid client group, that's a different story. You would not be posting the same stuff. So that, brings to mind the question, why have a group for your paid clients? Like, what's the goal of that group? You would probably be posting, I'm guessing, or what I do, you'd be posting a lot more help and support topics inside of your group for paying clients, right? You want to be able to support them in the work that they're already doing. You might be doing stuff that's a little less polished, a little bit more behind the scenes, a little more personal, because these are people you're working with them, so you can kind of go there with them. They're already in your world, and they're already on your mailing list, so then in a paid group, you might also be more free to post articles or post resources that come from other people and other brands. I wouldn't necessarily do that inside of a free group because, again, the goal of the free group is to get these people into your world. But once they're a paying client, hey, if somebody else releases a podcast that you just have to share it. You're really there to support these people in a deeper, more meaningful way inside of your paid group. You can get into deeper discussions with your clients inside of your paid member group. You can offer more personal feedback. You can't do that in a free open group because you just don't know the members as well. So the conversations tend to be deeper, and I think the content definitely shifts when you're working with people who are paying you. Right? So does this make sense, you guys? You want to think about the business goal of each of your Facebook properties and then choose content that serves that goal. You don't want to just say, oh, I have a new blog post. Well, I'm going to immediately post it anywhere and everywhere. Like, it might make sense to do that, but it really might not. And then in this way, you're going to avoid having that redundancy in your content. Okay? I hope that makes sense. I'm going to go back and say this again. Running a Facebook group is a ton of work. I mean, if you want to do it well, it's going to be a ton of work. And in the beginning, you got to get in that group. You got to be in there like every day, several times a day, interacting, boosting engagement. And by boosting, I don't mean that you are paying to boost anything. I just mean you're asking questions, you're getting members involved. And you have to remember that people are really shy to get out on the dance floor, especially if the group is new, especially if it's on the smaller side. So it's like you really have to be the life of the party and like the hostess with the mostess when you're inside your group. But even later, like as the group grows, and I have watched our group grow from, it started like 20 people to now like, oh my God, thousands and thousands of people inside the group, you're going to notice that conversations start to take on a life of their own. And you don't have to get in there and post every day anymore because other people are doing that many times a day. Still a lot of work to manage the group. So right now, just to give you a little behind the scenes, the way that our Health Coach Power Community group works is that I still approve every single new group member. And we don't do blanket approvals like, oh, 20 people want to join, click, bring them all in. No way. It's like a one-by-one process. We get a lot of requests every single day, and I'm super, super picky about keeping this group all about health coaching so that I, I'm serving my target market, right? It all makes sense. I ask questions. If you've recently joined the group, you know that there are a series of questions that you have to answer. And before I approve anybody, I need some sort of verification that they are in fact a health coach and that they are not just here to try to market themselves to health coaches. Because then the integrity of the group kind of gets lost in a sea of promotional nonsense, and I'm not having any of that, right? I'm not spending my time and my energy to help other people sell their stuff to you. That makes no sense. So be very careful about who you let into your group and kind of need to figure out, like, why are they here? Are they here for the right reasons? Because there's a lot of that nonsense on Facebook. You know this, I know this. So I actually have a couple of team members who help me with that. We do comb through every thread every day. We try to keep the group really clean and well behaved. And that's why it can be useful to our members, right? We get rid of anybody who's not in the group for the right reasons. This whole idea of Facebook groups, you guys, it's an amazing marketing tactic. It takes work. It is free, however, in terms of you don't have to pay a monthly fee or anything like that, at least not right now. I do pay my team members. I do have to pay an assistant, things like that. But if you know what type of members you want, you know what kind of members you don't want, you know how you're going to move your members closer and closer to becoming a paying client, boom, this can be a very good thing for your business. Okay, we're going to run a little bit over today because I have more to say on this topic. Is that okay with you? Okay. Next big question. How do you build engagement? Facebook groups are excellent because members are more likely to see your posts from the group in their Facebook feed compared to if you posted to a page, right? Groups, members, it's more likely they're going to see and engage with your stuff. So that is good, but you will get even more engagement if you're working on it, right? So you could do something special. Think about this. Every day you could do something special inside of your Facebook group. And I'm mostly talking right now about like a marketing group. You may have seen people do this. On Monday, it's Monday motivation. On Tuesday, it's Tuesday tools or whatever it's going to be. That's exactly what I did when I started the Health Coach Power Community. Each day I had a theme. Some of you remember this. And I would ask a question based on the theme for that day. So that kind of helps create content every day of the week and get a conversation started. Now, another thing that you can do, or you can consider doing, is creating content specifically for your group members. Like, of course, you can share your blog posts or your podcast or whatever inside of your group, but that stuff's also publicly available. So it's like, well, why do I have to be in the group? I could get this elsewhere. Think, what can I do special just for my group members to give them a reason to be here? And one thing I do, in case you haven't noticed, is I answer my group members' questions here on the show, right? Like, I don't let listeners email me with questions. Everything that I talk about comes from health coaches inside the Health Coach Power Community. So basically, if you want my advice on something, join the group and ask me something juicy. That's exactly what Emily, I believe, today was the one who asked the question that sparked this whole episode. All right, another tip. Think about how you can be the best conversationalist ever. It is all about these conversations. So you're asking questions, you're making jokes, introduce group members to each other. Like, if you can help make connections between people, that's huge. And this is very important. Keep self-promotion to a minimum. So example, if you're running a group about, like, I don't know, gluten-free living, and somebody asks, what grains are gluten-free? I want you to answer them. I want you to share a free resource that you've created on that topic. What I don't want you to do is immediately pitch your services and say something like, well, that's what I work with my clients on. Click here to apply to work with me. That can be a huge turnoff. So you're giving for free inside the group. You're collecting email addresses, and you will do the selling. Well, I think we've talked about this in other episodes. The selling happens on the back end from your email list. It does not happen in the group itself. Huge turnoff. Now, finally, we talked about how a Facebook group can be a marketing tool. You need a strategy for how you're going to do exactly what I just talked about. How are you going to turn your Facebook group members into a paying client? Like magic? You're just hoping? Oh, if I'm just awesome enough, people are going to contact me and say, how do I work with you? That might happen. It does happen sometimes, but you need to move things along. You need a strategy for how to make that conversion happen. So I would not start a group. I would not invest your time and energy into it until you are very clear on how you're going to convert your group members to your mailing list, what offer you're going to make, what you're going to sell to them. And that could mean hosting events and challenges where, again, members are signing up. They're going to give you an email address and you're going to pitch your services. That starts to connect the dots. Group member signs up for an event, pitch my services, and they buy. Oh, now we're making money. Now it's a good idea to have this Facebook group in your business. There are a million ways to move people through that process, but just know that piece, like have that idea in mind before you begin, so you're not wasting a ton of time and energy. And then you say to me, Michelle, I've been running this Facebook group for like 3 years. I've never got a single client from it. That would be terrible. We don't want that to happen. So listen, before you do anything with Facebook, I want you to download my free guide, 9 Key Facebook Elements for Your Health Coaching Business, which you can get at healthcoachpower.com/Facebook. And make this your first step. You may realize, wow, I've got some work to do before I am like Facebook ready. You might as well do that now before starting a group. I'm seeing some questions over here, and I do want to answer. Oh my gosh, we were running so over, you guys. I'm going to do one. Karen says, thank you. Did you say what we should be posting on the business page that's different from the groups? Your business page, I don't know how to say this in the nice way. It doesn't matter that much. It's a public page, right? So people are going to find it, like even through search, people can find your page. You want it to show that you've been active recently, so that again, someone lands on it and they're not like, oh, she hasn't posted for the past 7 years. So you need something on it. And you should keep in mind that these are people who have not committed to you at all yet. They haven't joined your group. They're not on your mailing list probably. This is really almost like a website. It's very, very public. So post accordingly, but I don't think it matters that much because it gets like 0 reach. That's the unfortunate truth about business pages right now. Maybe we should have a whole other episode just about the Facebook business page and what to do with that. Oh my God, you guys, if this episode has been useful, could you do me a favor? Go to iTunes, search for the Health Coach Power Community Podcast, and leave a written review. Tell everybody what you've been learning, also what you've been implementing as a result of listening to this show every week, because I hear this a lot, and I love hearing your stories about how much progress you make with like a simple 30-minute show every week. You guys are amazing. And if you have questions that you would like answered, of course, all you have to do is join my Facebook group at healthcoachpowercommunity.com and ask your questions there. And then you very well may be featured in an upcoming episode, just like Emily and Ashley were today. I will be looking for your questions, and I'll see you next time.